Welcome back to Game-Based Learning in the World Language Classroom. The why, the what, and the how. We're on section 3 of my book, The How. I'm Madame Sensei. I teach Spanish, French, Japanese, and English to high schoolers out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. You can talk to me at studio-nemo.com, the Duolingo Educators Network, the Minecraft Education Ambassadors, or the Minecraft Teachers Lounge, or RockSem, or the World Language Teachers Summit. Those are all places I hang out, and I love to discuss new game ideas. I want to pick your brains. So now today I want to talk about games I absolutely will not play because I love games, but there's some games that are going to give you more bang for the buck in school. Okay, in our previous episodes we were talking about just gamifying your classroom. Now I want to dive into what games I don't play, why I don't play them, and how I've tweaked them to make them work. Because our time is so precious. My colleague next door, he always says, we only have 180 instructional days. And he's right. We don't want to waste our time. We don't want to waste our students' time. We want the most bang for our buck. All right, so first of all, game show type games. My first year teaching, I thought these were great. And I ran out and I bought tap lights, these tap lights that you press and they turn on. And I had two really pretty ones. One looked like the moon, one looked like the sun. And I'd call up the students and, you know what? They destroyed them in one class period. So even though I planned a game show game for the rest of the day with my other 6 classes, they were destroyed in period 1. Okay, so actually I bought these at the dollar store, so it wasn't too bad, but still, you don't want things broken. So I ran back to the dollar store the next day and I bought bells, and the bells worked better. Okay, so I still have the bells. They're still there. They're robust and everything, but here's the problem with game show type games. If you have a class of 30 students, and this year I've got classes of 36 students apiece, okay? So let's just go with my class of 36 students. If I've got 36 students, that means 34 students are sitting there waiting their turn. They're passive. They're either waiting their turn or they've just gone and they know they're not going to be called on for another 15 minutes until it gets back around to their turn. And so they're passive. Are they paying attention? Maybe. Are they cheering on their team? Maybe. Are they cheering on their team in the target language? Maybe. But for the most part, they're just sitting there passive. And they're staring out the window looking at the little birds tweeting. And this is awful. I don't like doing that. Okay, so I stopped doing game show type games after my very first year teaching. But then I discovered Sink or Swim. And I've talked about Sink or Swim in episode 36. But let me just really quickly go over it again. Because I absolutely love this game. Okay, so you do divide the class in half. You got your 2 teams. You have them name their team. And then I have all the cards I've made for all my other games. I just grab a deck of cards and I walk over to the first student and I say, I don't know, what is 2 times 2? And she says 4, whatever the question is on the card. Okay. And then she gets to choose. That's her first turn. So what she's going to do, she's going to say, I'm going to sink somebody on this side. Ooh, this girl right here. She is really good. So I'm going to sink her so she doesn't get a turn. So this girl has to sit down. Okay, there everyone's standing. All right. All right, now I go to this team. And I say, okay, it's your turn because she's sitting down. It's your turn. All right, let's stay with math. It's 2 plus 3. And she says 5. All right, well, you have a choice. You can sink someone on this side, or you can rescue your friend over here. Okay? And if she gets it wrong, she just has to sit down too. Okay? But the beauty of it is that you're going to find after like one round, they figure out a strategy. It's just hysterical because what you've done at this point is all the really, really good players are taken out of the game very quickly. And it's hysterical to see them. Oh, you got sunk. I'm going to save her. Okay. Oh, you're saved. And then the next person gets something right. And no, I'm going to sink her again. So the person who doesn't need practice never gets a chance, and it's hysterical, and they can be yelling at each other in the target language, and everybody gets really into it because they're really trying to strategize, who are we going to sink over there, or who are we going to save on our team? So I really, really like this game. So I won't do a game show, but I will do this, and this doesn't require any tap lights or any bells. It's just the students standing up, and so they've got all that energy from standing up and sitting down and standing up and sitting down. So it's a great game. I talk about a lot more in episode 36. All right, Jeopardy. Jeopardy, my very first year teaching, I was like, well, okay, I'm going to go to a lot of work to make a Jeopardy game, but I'm going to have it forever, and it's going to be great. Okay. So there's the program I'm using right now is Active Inspire by Promethean, and they have a Jeopardy board in their resources, and of course PowerPoint has Jeopardy boards and stuff, so it's easy to find a Jeopardy board. And then you've got to sit down and make it. But again, it's got the same problem of, in a class of 30 students, 27 students are sitting there passively while 3 students have their chance. Okay, even if you like say, all right, talk about it amongst your team, and then come up, and then I'll ask the question again. If you've got more than 3 or 4 people on a team, people are sitting there passively. They're listening to everyone else talk. So this is what I do now. If I'm going to do Jeopardy, Jeopardy's a lot of work for me, but you know what? It's not a lot of work for my kids. This is my classroom. You can see it's really crowded, 36 students. Backpacks against the wall because I learned my lesson tripping over a backpack. Okay, so what I do is I've named all these table groups, and I talk about this in another episode too. So here's my Japanese class. Every table group is named after prefectures. And what else do I have here? Oh, here's my Spanish class. Every table group is named after a country that speaks Spanish. And I have to change the table tents between each classes. It's crazy. Here's my French class. Every table group, actually I've got many French classes, but every table group is named after a country that speaks French. And oh, there's another Spanish class. And here's my English class. I named them after books we're going to read this year. Okay, so I say, okay guys, this table right here, let's say it's Argentina. You're going to make a Jeopardy game for Guatemala. Guatemala, you're going to make a Jeopardy game for Mexico. Mexico, you're going to make a Jeopardy game for España. España, you're going to make a Jeopardy game for Cuba. Cuba, you're going to make a Jeopardy game for Puerto Rico. Okay, so there's only 6 people at the table. It's very doable. They can be in teams of 2. So they're not sitting passive, but everybody's making a Jeopardy game for another table. They're actually, the fact that they're making the game, I think, is better review than actually playing the game. So I like that better. If I'm going to do Jeopardy, I'm going to do it like that. Okay, Hangman. Again, my very first year, I tried to play Hangman whole class, and again, it's too boring whole class. So put them in groups of 3. You got your mini whiteboards. Oh, Hangman in groups of 3 is great, especially in French. Spelling is a really big deal in the French culture. So put them in groups of 3, and I tell them, you guys be mean to each other, okay? You want accent aigu or accent grave, they've got to say that, okay? If they don't say it, if they just say they're wrong, okay? You can start hanging them. And we did have one year with a bunch of students, like 4 students in the year died, and it was really awful, kicked us in the stomach. So we didn't do Hangman. Then we did like Tiddlywinks, so we built insects and stuff because we just didn't want to talk about death for like 6 years after that. It was really awful. Anyway, you don't have to do Hangman. It could be something else. Okay, but Hangman is great in small groups. Have them get their mini whiteboards, and one person's drawing and making the thing, and everybody else is, the other 2 people in the group are guessing the letters, and that works absolutely great. Choice boards. I'm going to be the unpopular teacher here. I hate doing choice boards. They are so much friggin' work. They are so much huge work, and the students only choose 2 of the choices anyway. They never choose the other stuff. Never, never, never. So I just save myself the trouble, and if I'm going to give them a choice board, it's a choice of 2 or 3 things, period. It's not this giant bingo card, okay? And actually, I would much rather build my differentiation into the game that we're doing. Rather than spend all this time making differentiation in a choice board, I can do it in a game very easily, very quickly. So choice boards, I know everybody loves choice boards. I hate them. They are not a good use of my personal time. Hey, I managed to keep this under 10 minutes. In our next episode, we're going to talk about project-based learning. These aren't games as such, but they're so much fun, Love doing projects, so hope to see you there.